Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Scott Sports 101. I'm Scott Trella. We're going to cover, we got the Guardians, we got the Browns, and before we get to any of that, here is today's Scott Sports 101 trivia question. And it's an NFL trivia question. Who has thrown for the most rushing yards of all time? I will have the answer later in the podcast. Well, the Guardians were off yesterday, but they were back in action today as they took on this evening as they took on the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they beat them. They won 8-3 at tonight at Progressive Field. Noah Syndergaard was on the hill for the good guys tonight. Syndergaard went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, 2 earned runs, had one bean at bat, uh, and struck out 4 batters. And the bullpen came in, and they did pretty well. And Emmanuel Clase came on in the ninth and got the save for the Guardians. Now I'm going to give you a summary highlights of the game. I'm going to do that right now. Hold on, waiting to get them to come back. Here we go. Just trying to. All right, top of the first. Will Smith homers on a fly ball to left field, and Mookie Betts scores. It was 2-0 Dodgers. And then on the top of the third, Freddie Freeman singles on a line drive to right fielder Will Brennan. Mookie Betts scores. It was 3-0 Dodgers. Then on the bottom of the fourth, Oscar Gonzalez homers on a fly ball to center field. It was three to right field, excuse me, and it was 3-1 Dodgers. And also in the bottom, Gabriel Arias singles on a line drive to left fielder David Peralta. Andres Giannis scores. It was 3-2 Dodgers. And in the bottom of the seventh, Miles Straw grounds out into a forced out shortstop Miguel Rojas to second baseman Enrique Hernandez. Will Brennan to third. Will Naylor out at second. Miles Straw to first. And there were 2 outs. Stephen Kwan serves on a line drive to center fielder James Outman. Will Brennan scores. Miles Straw to second. The Guardians and Dodgers were tied at 3. Jose Ramirez singles on a ground ball to right fielder Mookie Betts. Miles Straw scores. Stephen Kwan to third. It was 4-3 Guardians. Then Cole Calhoun homers on a fly ball to right field. Stephen Kwan scores. Jose Ramirez scores. And it was 7-3 uh, Guardians. And I'm going to some of the key moments. I got to go into all of them just for a moment. And then in the top of the eighth, Freddie Freeman grounds out to second baseman Andres Giannis. First baseman Cole Calhoun, Miguel Rojas to second. There were 2 outs in the bottom of the eighth. Miles Straw singles on a ground ball to shortstop Miguel Rojas. Andres Giannis scores, and Bo Naylor to second. It was 8-3 LA. And on top of the ninth, Enrique called out on 3 strikes. And nonetheless, the Guardians get the win. Sam Hentges with the win. He goes to 2-2, and Bo Miller takes the loss. He falls to 7-3. The Guardians will continue this series tomorrow. Tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at Progressive Field against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Uh, the waiting for the vote, but they really played well. They needed this win. Right now, they're 66-60 in second place in the AL Central behind Minnesota. About I think 3 games out of first place. Check me if I'm wrong. And here's that pitch for tomorrow. Whoops. I'm having some problems here. There we go. I'm going to get in. Yeah, and they really need to really string wins if they want to win the division. I'm going to give you the pitching matchup in just a moment. There we go. Uh, it's Xavier Zabon Curry will be on the hill for the Tribe, for the Guardians, excuse me, with a record of 3-1, and uh, Clayton Kershaw on the hill for the Dodgers with a record of 11-4. And first pitch 7:10 on Bally Sports Ohio. The uh, the Ohio State Buckeyes football returns. The Buckeyes will play their opening day game this Saturday on September 2nd during Labor Day weekend against Indiana at Indiana at uh, at, at the Rock Stadium in Indiana. And I really think Ohio State have not named Ryan Day is not named as starting quarterback as of yet, but we will hopefully find that out in just a few short days to come. But I really think Ohio State will get the win, and I'm not going to give a score prediction as of yet because we don't have a starting quarterback, but I think they will get the win in this game. And kickoff is Saturday, September 2nd at 3:30 on on ABC, I believe. I am trying to find that out. Well, I'm just going to say ABC for right now. So I think that's either ABC or ESPN, either way. We will get to the Browns in just a moment, but right now it is time to reveal the answer to today's Scott Sports 101 trivia question. It's an NFL trivia question, as I said. Who has thrown for the most rushing yards of all time? And if you said the Dallas Cowboy Hall of Famer Emmitt Smith, you are correct. Emmitt Smith with 18,355 career rushing yards. I'll have another trivia question on my next podcast, which will be my Scott Sports 101 Browns NFL preseason pregame show for the fourth preseason game on Saturday. So this will be probably pre-recorded for Saturday. So stay tuned for that. Uh, Now moving on to the Browns. The Browns are getting ready for their fourth and final preseason game against the defending Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs, at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri. This will be the final dress rehearsal for the Browns before they make cuts to get to a 53-man roster, and before the regular season starts on Sunday, September 10th against the Cincinnati Bengals. Deshaun Watson and most of the other Brown starters will start versus the Super Bowl champion Chiefs in the final preseason game on Saturday afternoon. Coach Kevin Stefanski said on Sunday, the starters will play similar to that Washington game. He said, we'll play the starters probably 20 to 25 plays. There are some guys that I'll hold out from the game as well. But we'll talk about that later in the week, Stefanski mentioned. Some of the playing time for the Browns veterans uh, be dictated by how long the Chiefs play their starters, given they open on Thursday Night Football on September 7th against Detroit. ahead of the rest of the league. They just played yesterday, and they also played Thursday night, the Thursday night game. So I don't know how that affects their decision making. During the Browns' 18-18 tie with the Eagles on Thursday night last week, Watson said he hoped to play a quarter in Kansas City. Oh, I would love to be out there, Watson said. I'm not sure how much exactly because I know Kevin Stefanski doesn't want us to play the whole game, but get a little rhythm going for maybe a quarter and just have that test. So I think it'll be fun. Now, here are some other quick hits from Stefanski's pre-practice press conference. He confirmed that receiver Elijah Moore, his ribs, and right tackle Jack Conklin with a concussion will practice on Sunday, which they did. He acknowledged how important Moore is to the Browns offense. I I just think that there's not really a limit to what he can do. And he said, I think he's a very good outside receiver, a very good inside receiver. You can put him in the backfield, put him in the wildcat. I think there's really just no shortage what you can do, and I say that just because of the skillet and the skill set, excuse me, and because of the intelligence. So, like you mentioned, with lining him with the lining him up a ton of that. But just if you think about the person and think about the player, what he's able to handle, we just uh, felt like it'd be something that he can do. Not to say that we will do it every game, or maybe he'll be there all 50 plays in one game. It's really a big game plan. He said Moore was open to the multi-purpose role. Any player you're talking about, moving them around for formation, hey, we can give you uh, the ball this way, and we can get you the ball this way. There's always they're always open to that, Stefanski said. And he said Moore didn't hesitate about the dual threat role the way San Francisco's Debo Samuel has recently. And I think Elijah Moore is going to be a very important part of this offense. And they've extended some contracts to Joel Petonio and Myles Garrett. They've given them a contract extension. So, and also Deshaun Watson as well. But Moore is a very vital part of this offense, I feel. And I think a lot of Browns fans feel that same way. Stefanski compliments Martin Emerson Jr. Uh, Cornerback Martin Emerson Jr. held Philadelphia's his own and joint practices, excuse me, against Philadelphia's AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. Obviously, they got tested going up against that wide receiver corpse, so they got some really, really good work versus those guys. Stefanski said, "I think my guy, my I think MJ, excuse me, continues to progress. He he's at a good camp today, and I think he's a young man that I think will just continue to get better." He has described the nature of the practice after a day off on Saturday. I'll be a little bit different. Uh, it'll be a little bit different practice structure, excuse me, short on the individual and then heavy on the team periods, he said. We're going to extend uh, the amount of practice plays in the periods so that guys can get used to long drives offensively and defensively. We'll hit some really good situations we'll take a bunch of breaks to kind of simulate those in between drives or TV timeouts and those type of things. So so we'll, get some good work in and move the ball period and in down in the red zone as well, and we'll get some no huddle. Some no huddle. We'll get some 2 minute a lot, 2 minutes a lot of a lot of situational work today, which I think will be really good for our guys. And I agree with that. And because this season, this regular season, when it starts, we've got Cincinnati, and I know Joe Burrow, Bengals quarterback, really wants to surprise the Browns, but Deshaun wants to surprise the Browns, but for the Bengals to beat him, and Deshaun Watson, he wants to surprise the Browns fans, but he wants to surprise the Bengals, Joe Burrow. But nobody has said anything about the Steelers, but they say don't count the Steelers out because they could be a playoff team as well. They could, and the Browns do have the talent to make the playoffs, and I don't know with the bye week being the fifth week. I don't know if that's going to work to the Browns' advantage because they've got Pittsburgh in week 2, and then Tennessee in week 3, and then Baltimore in week 4, and then the bye week, and then they come off the bye week to face the 49ers. But this could go either way. But I think we're going to have a good team. And I think I'd like to see the Browns go 11-5 or 12-4. We'll see. Some media is saying 9-8, and others are saying like 8-9. But I don't think that we want our Browns to make the playoffs. I think they're going to have a good team this year. So we'll see what happens when the regular season gets underway on Sunday, September 7th against the Bengals, and that'll be here at home. And kickoff for Saturday's game against the Browns and Chiefs is at 1 p.m. on ABC, WEWS TV 5 News 5. Well, that's just about going to wrap it up for this edition of Scott Sports 101. I'll be back with the Scott Sports 101 preseason Browns NFL preseason pregame show for Saturday's game against the Chiefs, preseason game against the Chiefs. I'll probably pre-record that for Friday so we can see it on Saturday. So because I have to work at my job on Saturday, so until then, always remember, be a team player each and every day in every way possible. So long, everybody. 3, 2, 1. I'm done.